Let's talk about something that is, honestly, one of the most powerful, yet almost totally ignored connections in men's health. I'm talking about the link between the simple act of putting one foot in front of the other, walking, and your body's most important male hormone, testosterone. And as you're about to see, this isn't just some vague being healthy is good idea. It is a direct, profound, and biological connection.
Okay, so this right here, this is the whole story in one sentence. The science is crystal clear. For every 1,000 steps you take, your testosterone gets a little bump. Simple, right? Well, there's a massive hidden catch. There's a reason most men get absolutely zero hormonal benefit from their daily walks. We're going to uncover that catch and show you exactly how to walk for your hormones, not just to rack up steps on your fitness tracker.
All right, first things first, we have to completely reframe how we think about not moving. This isn't about being lazy. From your body's point of view, being sedentary is a straight-up, full-blown biological emergency.
Think about it from an evolutionary perspective. When you stop moving, your body's ancient wiring doesn't think, oh, he's just watching Netflix. It thinks, crisis. There must be a famine, a blizzard, or a serious injury. So it goes into survival mode. It starts shutting down any system that isn't absolutely critical to staying alive. And what's one of the first things to go? The reproductive system. Testosterone production is suddenly seen as a luxury your body simply can't afford. And if you think this takes years to happen, you are in for a shock. Researchers took a group of perfectly healthy, active young men and just made them sit still. They capped them at under 1,500 steps a day, which, let's be real, is a typical day for a lot of people with desk jobs. Within just 1 week, their bodies started handling sugar poorly and storing more fat. And by day 14, their testosterone levels had absolutely tanked. In 2 weeks, their bodies went into full-on survival mode. So here's the bottom line. Movement isn't just for burning calories or getting fit. It is the fundamental signal you send to your body that says, everything's okay. We're thriving. We're safe. It's the green light for your body to build muscle, have energy, and, yes, produce testosterone. Without that signal, the whole system just starts to power down. So if sitting on the couch is the off switch for your hormones, how do we flip it back on? Well, it turns out there's a surprisingly clear mathematical answer. This is where we see that every single step you take really, truly counts. This number, +7, comes from a big study in 2021, and it's incredible. What they found was that for every additional 1,000 steps a man took per day, his testosterone levels went up by 7 nanograms per deciliter. That's not a guess. It's a direct dose-response relationship. More steps, more testosterone. It's that simple. So let's see what that actually looks like for you. Let's do some quick math. Say you're getting about 4,000 steps a day right now, which is pretty common. If you make a conscious decision to hit that 10,000 step goal, that's an extra 6,000 steps. You multiply that by 7, and boom. That's a potential 42-point jump in your testosterone. Just from walking. That is a significant boost, the kind of increase you can actually feel. And if you need one more stat to really light a fire under you, here it is. The same study found that men who walked over 8,000 steps a day had a staggering 90% lower risk of being diagnosed with clinically low testosterone. Let me say that again. Just by moving your body, you can essentially eliminate 90% of that risk. That's insane. Okay, so we know it works. We've seen the numbers. But why? Why is walking so ridiculously effective? Well, it turns out that walking directly targets and flips 3 major biological kill switches that are sabotaging your hormones. First up, we have to talk about cortisol, the stress hormone. Your body makes both cortisol and testosterone from this same raw material, cholesterol. Think of it like a seesaw. When you're stressed, your body panics and pours all its resources into making cortisol. This is what's known as the cortisol steal. It literally steals the building blocks away from testosterone production. You can't be stressed out and optimally hormonal at the same time. Now, this is where walking is basically a cheat code. The simple rhythmic motion of walking, seeing the world go by, it creates something called optic flow. And this has been shown to directly calm down the fear center in your brain. So unlike a super intense workout which can actually spike cortisol, a brisk walk actively lowers it. It ends the cortisol steal and frees up all those resources to finally get back to the important job of making testosterone. All right, kill switch number 2. We need to talk about a very specific enemy, visceral fat. This isn't the soft, pinchable stuff. This is the hard, dangerous fat that wraps around your internal organs. And you have to think of it not as just stored energy, but as a chemically active, hostile organ that is actively working against you.
So what's the weapon this fat uses? It's an enzyme called aromatase. Visceral fat is basically a little factory that just pumps out aromatase all day long. And aromatase has one single destructive mission: to find your precious testosterone and chemically convert it into the female hormone, estrogen. This is why belly fat is just so devastating for men's hormones. You can be doing everything else right, lifting weights, eating well, trying to pour testosterone into your bucket. But aromatase is like a giant hole in the bottom, and it's worse than a leak. It's actually taking what falls out and turning it into its hormonal opposite. It's an absolute disaster. So, how do we fight back? This is why walking is the perfect weapon. That brisk walking pace puts your body right in the sweet spot for burning fat, the oxidative zone. You become incredibly efficient at using fat for fuel. You are quite literally starving that aromatase factory. You're cutting off its power supply at the source. And finally, the third kill switch: blood sugar. When you eat a big meal, your blood sugar goes up, and your body releases insulin to handle it. Now, chronically high insulin is a direct signal to your testes to shut down testosterone production. But a simple 10-minute walk after that meal changes everything. Your leg muscles, the biggest muscles in your body, act like a giant sponge. They soak up all that excess sugar right out of your bloodstream. This prevents that massive insulin spike and sends an all-clear signal to your hormones to keep on working.
Okay, so we've covered the why. Now let's get to the how. How do we put all this science into a simple, actionable plan that you can actually use?
The best part is, this is not complicated. You don't need a fancy program. It all boils down to 3 simple pillars: your pace, your timing, and your environment. If you get these 3 things right, you will unlock the full hormonal benefit of every single step you take.
So let's break them down. For pace, we're not talking about a lazy Sunday stroll. The perfect cue is to think you're walking through an airport and you're just a little bit late for your flight. You're moving with purpose. For timing, you want to use that sugar sponge effect. The ideal strategy is to split up your walks into short 10 to 15-minute bursts after each of your main meals. And for environment, whenever possible, get outside in the sun. Sunlight on your skin creates vitamin D, which isn't just a vitamin, it's a steroid hormone and a direct building block for testosterone.
All right, it is time to put this into action. I've got a really simple challenge for you, and it can start the second this is over. Just remember the core idea here. When you stop moving, your body starts shutting things down. Walking is the signal that turns all the lights back on. It tackles stress, it burns that hormone-killing fat, and it controls your blood sugar. It creates the perfect internal environment for your body to thrive.
So here it is. Here's the challenge. For the next 7 days, just 7, commit to hitting that 8,000-step mark. Use the 3 pillars: walk with purpose, walk after meals, and get outside. That's it. At the end of that week, just check in with yourself. After spending a full week turning your hormonal engine back on, how do you feel? I have a feeling you're going to be pretty surprised by the answer.